Thank you again for joining me for another video. Today we're going to learn how to change a flat tube on a bike. First I will walk you through some of the terms we're going to need to know, and then I will show you the tools that we're going to use as well. So before we get started, let's learn about some terms and tools we're going to need for changing a tire. So this black rubber part on the outside is called the tire. Then you have this gray shiny metal part on the inside, that's called the rim. Then all of these black things leading in are called the spokes, and they all connect here at the hub. Then we have the skewer or axle. Next, you have the quick release valve. Then this part right here, it's really tiny. It's called the tube valve, and that's how you inflate and deflate your tube, which is on the inside of your tire, so we can't see it right now. Some tools we're going to need for changing a tire would be some kind of inflation device, so a pump or a CO2 cartridge. Then you're also going to need a spare tube. And last but not least, you're going to need your tire levers. So these are just some terms and tools we're going to need for changing a tire. First part in changing a tire is actually getting the tire off of the bike. So to do that, we're going to take this quick release lever right here. We're going to pull it straight out. Then, while holding onto this nut, you're just going to twist. So you should feel that the axle right here is loosening up on the grip on the frame, and then your tire should come out. Once you have your tire off of your bike, you're going to want to release the remaining air that might be in the tube. So you're going to twist this bottom cap for the valve and squeeze it until you don't hear a hiss anymore. That means that all of the air has come out. Once you have all of the air out of your tube, you're going to want to take your two tire levers. Take the part of the tire lever that's flat and curved and slightly pointed. This curved part will go towards your tube. While using your thumb, you can pull back that tire. Put the tire lever between the side of your tire and your rim wall and pull towards your hub. This is what it should look like. So you should have part of your tire that goes over your rim. That's what we want. You can take the hooked part on the bottom of your tire levers, this part right here, and hook it over the spokes just to hold it. That'll make things a little bit easier. You're going to take your other tire lever and do the same thing. Then it should look like this. Once again, you should have your tire on the outside of the rim. You don't have to do this for both sides, just one. But we're going to do this all the way around the tire. You can take out that first one as long as the tire still stays on the outside of the rim, and work on that next one. This is one of the hardest parts to changing a tire, so don't get discouraged if you don't get it on your first try or your 12th try. It is pretty tricky. Once you feel like you have enough of this side of the tire off of the rim, you can take your tire lever that's between the tube and the rim, and you can just start sliding it around. Okay. So now we have one side of the tube that is on the opposite side of the rim. So it's on the outside of that rim wall, which is what we want. At this point, you're going to want to take that top nut completely off of your tube valve. Okay, so this will allow you to be able to pull back that tire and take out the tube. So you're going to want to pull that tube valve through the hole like that. Then you're just going to pull that tube out. Spinning the tire around, make sure you get all of it out. There you go. So now you have this flat tube. You can throw it away, or if you're on a ride and don't have a trash can, you can just roll it up and put it in your jersey pocket. Have our tube out. You're going to want to take your fingers and carefully run them along the inside of your tire, just to make sure that there's no debris in your tire from whenever you got the flat tube, because then that debris, it could damage the new tube that you put in. Okay, so I don't feel any debris, so let's get started on putting that new tube in the tire. Now that we have our new tube, before we put it back in, we're going to want to put a little bit of air in it. So you're going to connect this to your CO2 cartridge or your bike pump and put just a little bit of air in it. It shouldn't be completely inflated. It should just be able to puff up the sides a little bit, which will make it easier for putting it back into your tire. You put a little bit of air in your tube just so that the sides hold a little bit of shape. You can then re-tighten this little piece right here at the end of your tube, just so that no air will continue to come out. So next we're going to want to put the tube back into the tire. So it's just going to be the opposite of the way we took it out. You're going to find the hole that your tube valve went through, and you're going to feed that back through the hole. Okay. So, should look like that again. Next, we're going to take our tube, and while the tire is on the outside of the rim still, we're going to take it and we're going to stuff it back inside the rim. So this is really important that you make sure that your tube does not get twisted while you're putting it back in. So, and you just want to do this all the way around the tire. Make sure there are no twists in it. Have our tube back inside our tire. We're going to take that top nut that we took all the way off of that tube valve, and we're just going to screw that back on. It should not be really tight to the rim, because that nut just keeps the rim from pressing on the valve, and so the tighter it is, the more likely it's going to press on that nut and put strain on the valve. So just enough so that the tube is kind of in there. You don't want it on super tight. Next, we're going to take our tire levers again, and using that curved part now facing the rim, we're going to tuck the tire back in. Once again, you can kind of slide it all the way around if you want. Towards the end, it will get tricky. We have our tube most of the way on. It just has to get this last little bit up over the rim. We're going to use our tire levers again. So take the curved part of your tire lever. You're going to face that towards the tire. Then you're going to slide it between the rim and the tire, and use that and your thumbs to pull the last little bit of the tire up and over the rim. So this is another kind of tricky part, and it might take multiple tries. Depending on what kind of tire you have, it can just use your thumbs. If it's like an older tire, and there you go. So the tire should be on, once again tucked in, but between that rim all the way around. That's how you know you have your tire completely on. So now that we have our tire completely on, you can either fill it up with air now, or you can fill it up with air once it's back on the bike. So to know how much PSI of air to put in it, there should be a marking on the outside of your tire. So this one right here, I don't know if you can see it, but it says 120 PSI. A good rule of thumb is that for road bikes, they normally run between 90 and 120 PSI, while mountain bikes normally run between 30 and 60 PSI. But it's always better to check your tire than to rely on that rule. So check your tire, see if you can find where it says the range of PSI that works best for it. Our flat tube is fixed. Let's put the tire back on the bike. So to do that, you're going to line this axle up with this little hook in your fork. Next, still while holding on to this, we're going to take that quick release lever and we're going to twist it the opposite direction that we did to get the tire off of it. You should feel it start to tighten up. Then, whenever it's good and tight, I take it and fold it back in so that the tire is nice and secure. Thank you for watching, and join me for next month's video, and I will teach you how to properly adjust your bike seat and how to properly adjust your helmet as well. Have a happy holidays and see you guys then. Bye.